I had read a lot of books about sort of by mystical authors or interviews with mystical authors and people I really respected and admired who talked about who are you, what are you, that question. Sort of pointing people back inward to what am I really, looking at identity. And I didn't feel like I understood that question, and a part of my brain was like, well, I just can't go there, because if I really think about it, I'm going to it's going to sort of tie me up. It's going to get intellectual for me. I could feel that. But I still felt like there was something true about that question that I just wasn't seeing. And then I was teaching a class in Palo Alto at the center, and there was a man there who was very upset about something. And he said, I'm very upset, I'm very disappointed. He had been rejected. He said, I've been rejected by someone, and I'm very upset about it. And I said in that moment to him, I said, who is upset? And he looked at me and said, well, that's a good question. And, it just came out of me without a lot of thinking. But when I said it, I realized that I was saying it for me. And I thought, who is it? Who is it that feels rejected? What is it that feels rejected? We know that thought creates a feeling, but what is that entity? What is that something that we imagine is rejected? And in that instant, I thought, oh my goodness, there's no one there. There's just a thought and a feeling. There's no one actually that can actually be rejected, if that makes sense. And that was so cool, because after that, I was able to, almost everything that occurred, I was able to say, well, who is it that cares? I mean, what is being, besides, physical harm, which can certainly come to us, and we have an impulse to sort of protect ourselves most of the time. I think, then you have like Buddhists who set themselves on fire, they were doing that during the Vietnam War, so we don't always have that either. But outside of physical harm, is there a psychological entity that we think ourselves to be that is harmed, that is damaged, that needs to be protected, that needs to be respected, that needs to be seen, that needs to be all these things that we start thinking need to happen for this entity? And I realized if you don't think that there's an entity, then there really isn't one. There's just this consciousness that has a thought that creates an entity, or what we've been calling an identity, that then therefore can suffer. Does that make sense so far? So, obviously, I think you all are seeing through the roles of, there's the role of mother, the role of, and I think that's helpful to see just in terms of sometimes what your responsibilities are in the moment, and then we respond. Am I the only teacher in the room? Okay, then I'm in charge of this classroom in this moment. But most of you seem to already see through those roles, those societal roles. And then there's something much closer that people have called, well, then there's myself. And that's what I'm speaking to now, is there's this sense of self that we can attach to the body, that we attach to our history, that we attach to our story. The whole story, all the memories. And then they sort of accumulate. Someone said, yeah, I just saw, was it you, Tammy? I just saw that who I thought I was just a collection of thoughts. And I have just found that to be so freeing, because then there's really no one to care about whether one is seen as wise or wonderful or terrible and awful or whatever it is. So it takes a lot of defense out of the system. Because who is it? What is it? And then you find that thoughts come and go, but always, 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 particular thoughts come and go. Thought itself does not come and go, But always, 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 consciousness is. So then what are you?